Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We just hit 1,640 subscribers to the YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I want to give a special thank you to Jason, Hillel, Anton, HaWKxXAsYLuM, Ryguy, Rip, Carson, Caesar, Nick, and new channel members Dylan Murphy, Aaron Garrett, and Joshua Lugo. They make up the first 12 channel members that I have. I want to give a special thank you to those guys. And now it is time for a new Seahawks video. That's right, it is Wednesday, and you guys know what I do on Wednesday. We go into the Wagner Watch. And unfortunately, after reporting some bad news about Bobby Wagner's play against the Vikings, I think I'm going to be forced to do the same thing again with his game against the Cardinals. He did make quite a few tackles, and if you take a look at this, you can see he's on pace to get to around 170 tackles this season, which would be a career high, which would almost certainly lead the league. But if you take a look at it, a lot of those tackles happened way down the field, not exactly helping the team win. So if you just want to take a look at his tackle stats, yeah, he's on pace. But as we drill down into some of these other metrics, we can see where Bobby is falling short. So let's get into the mess. He still doesn't have a sack. We all know that. The team did not have a sack against Arizona, so how is he going to get a sack? He missed a tackle on Sunday, so he's now up to 5. He was at 4 before the game started, now up to 5, and his missed tackle percentage is now up to 7.4%, which is way above what I wanted to see from him in 2020. It's also above what he did last year when, honestly, he was showing signs of decline too. So I got nothing good to report there. Solo tackles as well, way down from what I wanted to see. He's on pace right now for about a little more than 80. I wanted to see him get to at least 90. So this number is not going where it needs to go, in my opinion. This tells me he's doing a lot of pile jumping. 33 solo tackles and 30 tackle assists. That tells me he's doing a lot of pile jumping. Not exactly what you want to see from your middle linebacker, who is making 15 mil plus this year. He did generate a QB pressure, and I want to point this out because we did not have very many QB pressures on Sunday at all. But Bobby Wagner got credited with 1 QB pressure on Kyler Murray, so I'm going to give him some credit here. He got to 4. He's on pace to be better than he's been the last couple years, and I only expected 4 from him this year. It looks like he's going to break that pretty easily, so hopefully at the very least he can keep applying some pressure to these QBs. Tackles for loss, and this is starting to get sad. He still only has 1 after 6 games. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and raise the red flag here. This is a problem, guys. One tackle for loss in 6 games as a starting middle linebacker who has literally played every snap. Now, I understand some of it's because teams aren't running the ball that much against us, but even still, you should have more than 1 tackle for loss as an elite middle linebacker after 6 games. All right, turnovers forced. Nothing yet. Again, I understand these things come in bunches. I understand that his time will come when it comes to things like turnovers forced, but it's becoming a clear problem in Seattle that we are paying $18 million or whatever it is to Bobby Wagner this year, and he's not making big plays. He's not getting tackles for loss. He's not getting turnovers. This is where I see the big problem coming in. All right, passes defensed. He did not have any against the Cardinals. Still on pace to have a pretty good season in this regard, 4 through 6 games. Run tackles. He's still doing okay here overall. If you take a look here, he had 3 run tackles against the Cardinals. So he had a lot of tackles, but most of them came after completed passes, which is kind of part of the problem that I'm going to get into here shortly. But he had 3 tackles against the run. They went for 9 yards, 0 yards, and 2 yards. So if you roll that into this, you can see his average tackle depth is now a flat 4 yards, which is pretty okay, not great, not really good, but okay. I wanted to see this number down to about 3.8, so he's not far off from it, but he does have to get better here. Can't be getting these tackles after long rushing gains. He needs to get these tackles in the backfield. He needs to get these tackles at the line of scrimmage. So, yeah, not quite where I wanted to see him in the average tackle depth category. Targets. Now, we have a little bit of a problem here. After 6 games, he's been targeted 32 times in coverage. That puts him on pace to be targeted more than he was in 2019, which I thought was too much. And it puts him on target to go way past the 65 that I was hoping he would get to in 2020. So 32 targets is not necessarily a problem by itself, but it's becoming a problem because now he's giving up completions. Okay, Bobby Wagner has now allowed 20 completions in 2020. And if you take a look at this, you can see he allowed 6 completions in coverage against the Cardinals, and that was on 8 targets. So the Cardinals went 6 of 8 when Bobby was in coverage against the pass. His completion percentage allowed is still fine. 62.5 is perfectly fine for a middle linebacker. I said he wanted to keep it below 70. He's well on pace to do that. This number did come up a little bit after that Cardinals game. It went up from 58.3 to 62.5, but still on pace. But passing yards is now a concern because against the Cardinals, Bobby Wagner gave up over 80 yards in coverage. 85 yards in one game in coverage for a middle linebacker. This is really not good. This is a problem. If this keeps up, he will become borderline unplayable. As of right now, he's on pace to give up about 530 passing yards in coverage, which would be pretty close to my 2020 projection, but this is now officially a concern spot for me because the Cardinals had him coming and going in coverage. 6 completions for 85 yards for a middle linebacker in one game. I know there was overtime, but that's not good. That's not good enough, guys. All right, passing touchdown, still hasn't allowed a passing touchdown, which is great. Passer rating allowed is still very good, 80.1. So we don't have to be concerned here yet, but if the trend that he established against Arizona continues, we're going to have a problem here because we cannot have Bobby regress to the kind of coverage player he was in 2019. And he's not there yet, but if you take a look at the trend, it went from 70.5 to 80 in one game. So we need him to start head in the right direction when it comes to his passer rating allowed. Average depth of target is up to 6.3, which, again, as the rest of his coverage metrics get worse, this becomes more of a problem. This means he's giving up plays down the field. And now that he's actually starting to give up a lot of completions, this is actually an issue. Before I said it was meaningless without context. Well, now we have some context, and it's a concern. All right, air yards allowed. Through 6 games, he's allowed 111 air yards. I wanted him to get this to around 200, so he's on pace to destroy that. However, I'm not going to be worried about this so much because his yards after the catch, even after a really bad game against the Cardinals, is still only at 88 through 6 games. So that's on pace to easily go underneath what it was in my projections and to go way under what it was the previous 2 years. Now, that doesn't mean what he did against the Cardinals was good. He gave up 45 yards after the catch in coverage against the Cardinals. So if he keeps that pace up, once again, he will become virtually unplayable. But, yeah, as of right now, he's still well on pace to meet his projections here. And finally, we have his pass rush win rate, and I'm happy to put this back in the green because with the successful pressure against the Cardinals, even if it was only 1, he is now back up to a 16% success rate on his pass rushes, on his blitzes. He's blitzed 25 times, and he has gotten pressure 4 times. That's 16%. That's more than my projection for him in 2020, so here at least we're good. But you can clearly see all the places where he's just not getting it done. He's missing too many tackles. He's not making enough big game-changing plays. His coverage is starting to sag. This needs to get better, quite simply, because against Arizona, I think it's safe to say he had a bad game. And I already said he had a bad game against the Vikings. So to Bobby Wagner, one of our highest paid players, one of our best players, one of the most important players in franchise history, I say, you got to get better. Got to get better. I know that there's some stuff going on with this team that isn't on you. We probably put you into coverage on wide receivers a little too often and ask you to do things you just can't do. But you got to play better. You got to find a way to make a bigger contribution to this team because right now I see a dude who is fundamentally playing pretty good but isn't making enough big plays to justify the massive bite into the salary cap for this team that he is making. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. There's going to be some streams tonight. Going to play video games tonight. Might stream outside of video games. And please come around. We'll talk about some stuff. I know you guys are going to want to talk about Dunlap. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Peace out, go Hawks, and keep an eye out for me later tonight.